Hi friends, today we are going to discuss the masterpiece of George Orwell, Animal Farm. So we are discussing the chapter-wise summary of the novel. Animal Farm is a satire on the politics. Actually, this novel is based on Russian Revolution of 1917, and he derived all the characters from the Russian Revolution and how Russian Revolution has turned into dictatorship. Actually, this is the very base of Animal Farm. In the very first chapter of the Animal Farm, we find that the owner of the manor farm, that is Mr. Jones, he treated animals very badly. Indicating of these animals resulted into dissatisfaction. And one day, what happens that the old major, who is the leader of these animals, or we can say the oldest among all of them, makes these animals gather and he addresses the use of the speech, and in this speech he talks about the rights of animals and he talks about the human beings, and according to him human beings are the enemies of the animals. Mr. Jones has treated very badly and they need to get free from the clutches of human beings, and for that he addresses the gathering of animals. All the animals gathered there, they listened very carefully to the old major, and old major showed them a dream of independence, the dream of free from the clutches of human beings. And they listened it very carefully. And they think that out of this mess, we must get rid of the treatment of Mr. Jones. A new kind of inspiration get instilled in them. Then, starting with this chapter 2, after the speech, Old Major died peacefully. And again, these animals gathered in the memory of Old Major. We find there the rise of Snowball and Napoleon, the two major pig leaders of animals. Then, under the guidance, all animals revolted against Mr. Jones. When Mr. Jones returned to Manor Farm, he wanted to manipulate animals further, but this time animals did united and they revolted against Mr. Jones. They defeated Mr. Jones, and now this victory is resulted in a great achievement of animals, and they form their own rules and regulations. So here we find their commandments and believe those seven commandments. The very first commandment is that whatever goes upon two legs is an enemy, whatever goes on four legs or has wings is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes, no animal shall sleep in the Jones bed, no animal shall drink alcohol, no animal shall kill any other animals, and the last one was all animals are equal. All animals decides that they should go through all the commandments and they should follow all these commandments hardly, and they renamed the manor farm into Animal Farm. In the chapter 3, you will find that the rise of the leadership of Napoleon and the snowball are the superiority of the pigs. Pigs consider themselves as the superior to the other animals. According to them, they have a brain and they can use their brain for the benefit of other animals, and they are declared as the leader of all the animals. And there we find that decides to root the animal farm and they decide to form the welfare system for the annual fund. So we find another character, that is Boxer the horse. He is known as the hard worker and he works really hard for the welfare of animal farm, and his respect and his reputation is based on his hard work, and he is respected by all the animals. All this time, at this time they move in the right direction, picked this time, and they have a good system generated among them. Snowball is their leader, and now he says that education is very significant for all animals, and he takes the agenda of the education, he takes the movement of education, and he wanted to educate all the animals, but Napoleon opposes him in this regard. He says that it is not necessary to give education for the manor animals but only for the pigs, because pigs are ruling class. Now we find that the crashes among the Napoleon and Snowball. Then in the chapter 4, we find that the revolution of animal farm spreads to the other farms, the neighboring farms, and they given the message to the other farms, other animals, that the animal farm has been constructed, and there they formed a really good kind of system. And this propaganda goes to the other fields and animals there in the neighboring farms talks about this animal farm and also human beings, the owner of the other farms. At this time, we find that Snowball is getting popularity among all other animals, and Napoleon now getting jealous of the status of the Snowball. In the chapter 5, we will find that the Napoleon is opposing all the plans of Snowball, and their rivalry grew up, and he wanted to become the only hero of the leader of the animal farm. And he thinks that there is harder in the form of Snowball. Snowball thinks of the erecting of the windmill for the benefit of animal farm and for the welfare of animals. But this plan of the windmill is opposed by one and only Napoleon as usual, because Napoleon wanted to become the sole leader of the animal farm. He says that windmill is not significant, but the food is significant, and all the animals should concentrate on the food and gathering of the food. So he find the popularity of the snowball is increasing among these animals, and hence he thinks that the strategy, he thinks a plan, he saves his furious dogs to attack the snowball, and his furious dogs, which he played very skillfully for the attack, and these dogs went and attacked Snowball. And there is no other option left for the Snowball except leaving the animal farm, and he disappeared from the animal farm. So now the leader of the animal farm was Napoleon. Now the rules of the Napoleon is established in the animal farm. Now at this point we looked at the in politics the same leaders attack other leaders to take their seats. So there is a example of politics, so this is applicable in all time. Now Napoleon has acquired the power, and he declared Noah as a animals as a criminal, and he talks against the snowball all the time and his plans. Now, he says that how Napoleon is dangerous for the animal farm. Now, in this chapter 6, overall, the over the next year, the animals work very hard on the windmills. Boxer works harder than anyone, and it is hard on his health also. The pigs move to the farmhouse and they begin sleeping in the beds, but they change the commandments to make it okay. The pigs hire a human being, that it was Mr. Viper, to attack as agent, so they can begin trade with the other local farms. The other farmers hate animal farm even more because they are successful. Napoleon announces that there will be voluntary work on the Sundays. However, if the animals chooses not to work, they will lose the food rations. The half-built windmill is knocked over in a wind storm. Napoleon blames Snowball and the animals start building right away. In chapter 7, Napoleon claims that Snowball is subjugating the farm. Everything bad is blamed on Snowball, including the serious shortage of food. Some animals, like Boxer, find it hard to believe and need a lot of convincing. For the of the younger pigs who supported Snowball before he left are brutally attacked and killed by Napoleon's dog after being forced to confess their crimes of helping Snowball. Some of the dogs try to attack Boxer but fail. The other animals are sad, upset over the deaths of the pigs, and other confused about the state of the rebellion, but they convince themselves that the things must be better than before. Then in the chapter 8 we will find that after the execution of the pig, some of the animals go back to check commandments which have now been changed to read that was no animal shall kill any other animals without any cause. The animals work really hard and are really hungry, and but are given a long list of figures by Squirrel which supposedly show that there is more food than ever. Napoleon power grows and everything good is delivered to his guidance. He grows suspicious, however, and begins keeping ground dogs and having other taste his food in case of poison. The windmill is finally complete after a year. Napoleon sells timber to Frederick, though he had been in negotiation with the different farmers. Then Frederick tricks Napoleon with the fake money. Frederick and his men attack the farm and destroy the windmill. The animals in the animal farm are able to push the men off the farm, which casualties on the both sides of the fight. Napoleon awards himself a new military award. The pigs celebrate drinking cases of whiskey found in the farmhouse, and Napoleon orders that barley be planted in the field. Squirrel is caught in the barn after falling off a ladder with a pant. Later, it is noticed that the commandments in the regard to drinking alcohol is different. Now, starting with the chapter 9, Napoleon declares that animal farms as the republic and he becomes the president of the republic, and all other pigs are working for the Napoleon. And we find that he has contacts with the human beings, and now almost all the commandments that have been violated, and they have their own values and rules and regulation on the animal farm, and they have their own system of the government on the animal farm. Then in the last chapter, we will find that almost old generation animals are extinct, and now they are dying, and new generation of the animals coming, and they did not know anything about the revolution or kosher better or the windmill or anything, and just they working for the Napoleon. And again, the era of the slavery, the era of the manipulation of the animals, the exploitation of the animals came back in the farm, and the rules of the Napoleon, and again these animals are working for the Napoleon. And now Napoleon has changed the name of the animal farm again into the manor farm.